God's peace be with you. In Psalm 19, there are some intriguing aspects. In verse 13 it says, "Who can detect trespasses? Cleanse me from my inadvertent sins." Do I sin if my act is inadvertent? If it is not consciously deliberate? But here David asks to be cleansed from such sins. Many today, of course, no longer even care if they sin. Many also do not know enough about morality to know when they do sin. And there are also many good people who believe they are living Christian lives but may actually be living in sin. In fact, all of us indeed are sinners, but are we aware of these sins? For example, people gossip, think bad thoughts about others, hold grudges in their hearts, speak ill about enemies, neglect to help the poor, and so on. But do not think these are necessarily sinful, but they are. Let us take one particular example cited in this psalm. In verse 14, we read, "Also from arrogant ones restrain your servant. Let them never control me. Then shall I be blameless, innocent of grave sin." In the face of arrogance, we may find it all right to respond with disdain, antagonism, and rejection. But does the other person care? No, for he indeed is arrogant, unmindful, and uncaring about what others think of him. So who is bothered? It is us. And we end up being controlled by negativity, anger, being judgmental, and a lack of peace. But that's not all. We would look on the arrogant person as a sinner. But if we are not restrained in our response, then we end up being the sinner. This is because we fail to love, especially an enemy. This is because we may see the splinter in the other person's eye, but miss the plank in our own eye. We end up judging, and so we will also be judged. Whatever the sin of the other person is beside the point as far as God is concerned, because this is about us. It is we who stand before God. We are not blameless. We might even be into grave sin. What does this all say? It seems to be unfair. We who are trying to be good and do good, who are not arrogant, we are the ones in sin? Well, this can only be understood in light of God's call to perfection. See how David prays. He says, "Let the words of my mouth be acceptable, the thoughts of my heart before you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer." We are judged not in comparison to the greater sinner that is the other person. We stand facing not the arrogant sinner, but our humble Lord. It is simply between us and the Lord. Our Lord is perfect, and we ourselves are called to such perfection. As such, our lives are to manifest the reality that we are redeemed, that we base our lives on He who is rock. All the words that come out of our mouth and all the thoughts that remain in our heart must be conformed to Christ. God bless you.